let's face it, we're all going through a really stressful time right now. But really, even when this is all over, there'll just be a different kind of stress. Today, I'm going to be talking about how you can reduce your stress in as little as 5 seconds. One of the things that I'm noticing is that people are really struggling with not having a schedule anymore. You have people that were already only doing stress management things at night, on the weekends, and now with the schedules the way they are, they're not even doing that. You've got kids at home all the time, or you're working from home, there's no boundaries, everything's crazy, and I hardly even know what day of the week it is anymore. A lot of people have not been given the tools that it takes to handle stress across the day. All we really think about for stress management tends to be things like, I went home and I took a hot shower, I had a drink, I watched Netflix, or I went on a long vacation and I relaxed. But there are stress management techniques that need to be happening in tiny little pockets across the day to help you manage a stressful situation, particularly one as ridiculous as what we're going through right now. Today, I'm going to be going over a whole bunch, seriously, I lost count, of stress management techniques that you can use. And we are literally starting with 5 seconds. So there's absolutely no excuse for you to say that I don't have time to deal with my stress during the day. No. We are going to go through all of these techniques, pick and choose a couple that are your favorites, and start putting them into your schedule and see how much better things get after that. Before we get started on this, I want to invite you to go down and look at the link in the comments that I have for my 5 Days to Less Stress program to help you examine the various parts of your life that need help to control your stress. And a lot of us have a little extra time on our hands, but a lot of extra stress too. And this is a good time for you to be doing a little bit of self-evaluation and try to clean up some areas of your life that were really causing stress before and may actually be worse now. Okay, the first thing that I'm going to talk about, and it probably seems like common sense, but you would be amazed at how many people just hold their breath. And the first 5-second thing is just one deep breath. If you're getting really frustrated, you're getting really stressed, try to change your focus. Stop looking at whatever you were working on, especially if you can look outside, that's really helpful. And then focus on the exhale that you have, being really strong and forceful and getting as much air out of your lungs as you can. Your body will do everything it can to fill the lungs back up, but what tends to happen is we tend to not exhale fully, so we're then not able to fill our lungs back up. So if you worry about getting all the air out of your lungs, then your body will fix getting all of the air back in. Getting a bunch of oxygen in your system will help calm your nervous system down, and that will then help you be able to think more clearly, which will then mean that you're more resourceful and you're more likely to quickly come up with an answer to whatever is stressing you out, as opposed to just kind of banging your head against a wall. The next one to try is a body scan. Basically, it's taking a moment to stop and think about the things that are going on in your body. Just go head to toe. Do you have a headache? Is your neck tight? Are your shoulders up around your ear? Is your jaw clenched? Is your tongue on the roof of your mouth? When you come across areas that are tight, try to relax them. One of the relaxation techniques, and it's going to sound a little weird, is to actually, if you can't release the tension in an area, try to tighten it even more. So think about your fist. If your fists were sort of loose balls and you just couldn't get your hand to relax, actually squeeze it harder for a couple of seconds and then relax it. Another really great thing that you can do is to practice some gratitude. Now, I would normally tell you maybe you need to write 3 things down, maybe you need to write a journal, how about a thank you note? But if we're looking for quick, stop for a moment and think of something, just one thing that you are truly, truly grateful for. And this will quickly change the brain chemistry and it will bring in some positive chemicals into your brain. If the thing that you are grateful for happens to be a person, then write a quick note to yourself to send them a thank you note later, which will boost the positive feelings that you have, and then you'll also be giving a boost to somebody else as well. Affirmations are another really great way to change the way that you are thinking, to change your brain chemistry and give you a boost. But it's really just changing the habit that you have for the way that you talk to yourself. A lot of times when we get stressed out, we tend to put it on ourselves. And the problem is that the way we talk to ourselves is largely out of habit. If you stop and think for a minute, you probably say a fair amount of negative things to yourself, and they're probably on a repeat. Affirmations are a great way for you to turn that negative thinking habit around. When you're not stressed out, think about the things you usually tell yourself that are negative and find some counteractive affirmation that you could say to yourself. There are tons and tons of affirmation quote type things all over Pinterest, for example. If you just go and search for affirmations, I'm sure that you will find one that speaks to you, and then just remember that. If it helps, write yourself a post-it note. Keep it where you work so that if you're having trouble convincing yourself to say it to yourself, then you can just read it off the post-it note and start to internalize those positive feelings. So these are more 1 to 5 minute things. If you have 1 to 5 minutes, then don't just do one big exhale. Try something like box breathing. They actually teach this technique to soldiers so that they don't get stressed out in times of duress. The way that you practice box breathing is very simple. The first part is to inhale. You do that for 4 seconds. Then you hold your inhale for 4 seconds. You exhale for 4 seconds, and then you wait to inhale again for 4 seconds. You can do the seconds longer or shorter, but it helps me to remember 4. There's 4 steps, 4 seconds. What this does is, as I was talking about earlier, it helps calm down your nervous system. Plus, doing this it's almost a form of meditation because you're focusing on your breath. It helps you take yourself out of the situation that got you super stressed out and focus you more inward so that you can calm yourself down. The great thing about box breathing is that you can do it anywhere. When I first started speaking, I would get so nervous. And so I started using this technique because I can do it anywhere and nobody can tell exactly what you're doing because you're just breathing, but you're calming yourself down. And it would relax me enough to be able to go on without like shaking because I was so nervous. I don't know how many times I've talked about your to-do list before, but here we go again. We all know that everyone has an endless to-do list that we will never ever finish because the second that we cross something off, something else ends up on the list. And even in this time when we're all kind of stuck at home, nobody's really gonna get everything done. One of the things that's super important, especially if you're working from home and you're not necessarily abiding by somebody else's schedule and you have all these distractions, you might have kids coming in all the time, you might have partners that don't understand that you're working from home, is to prioritize. If you're sitting there looking at this mile-long to-do list that you have and you find yourself continuing to write at the bottom without actually crossing anything off at the top, you're going to get super stressed out. The way to get around this is to prioritize. My favorite technique is to do a brain dump where I do get everything out of my head and on that sheet of paper. I don't care what it is. It could be something like paint the basement that's 6 months from now, but if it's riding around my brain, it's going to drive me insane. I get everything out on the paper and then I pick the most important thing that has to be done that day, and usually a couple of other things that need to get accomplished that I believe that I have time for. That's it. 3 things. We're not going crazy here. Sure, we'd all love to get everything done in one day, but it's not realistic. This is a great thing to either do right before you get started in the morning, if that's when you're the most fresh, or honestly, I do it the night before because I have a really hard time sleeping if I have all those things rattling around my brain. And so what I tend to do is to keep a notebook next to my bed, and if I can't shut my brain down, I'll do a brain dump. The psychology behind this is just getting it out on our piece of paper. Our brains are awesome, creative, almost machines. That's what they do. They're not really good for storage. And when your brain needs to remember something, it just keeps rattling it around until it gets done. By you putting it on that piece of paper, your brain is willing to now let go of that thing so that you are not going to be so bothered by worrying about actually remembering to do it. If you need more help on how to deal with your to-do list and to get it under control, I'm going to link in the cards my to-do list hack video that I did to help you figure out what's important and what really needs to go. The next thing you got to do is to make sure that you're taking care of your needs. I always work from home. I'm a homeschooling mom. My office sits in our bedroom. I cannot get away. The thing is, though, that I get really, really hyper-focused on my work. And because I only get a few hours here and a few hours there, I tend to force myself to sit at the desk. The thing is, on the weekends, I tend to do the same thing, but I have more hours to work. And I will completely disregard my hunger, my thirst, my need to go to the bathroom, and everything. If you get really focused on something and you're struggling with that, set timers for yourself, whatever method works for you, but make sure that it's not more than an hour and a half to 2 hours before you're giving yourself a break. Consider this a tiny self-care moment throughout the day. You would certainly, when you were going to work, go in and then come home and you would take care of yourself, right? You would eat, you would relax, you would watch Netflix, you would take a hot bath, but you're not getting those things in the middle of the day, but you still need to take care of your body. I know it's a little harder when we're stuck inside and we don't have steps we could run around and climb and we can't get up and walk around the block. But what you can do is find some quick yoga videos on YouTube that you could do, whatever you need to keep yourself going, because the longer that you sit past the time your body needs a break, the longer it's going to need to be for you to sort of recover back the mental capacity that you had before. And those hours that you're sitting there past the time you need a break, really not as good as you want them to be. They're not really going to be your best work. Okay, here is one of my absolute favorite stress relief methods right now, because I really, really want to get out of this house and I can't. And that is visualization. My happy place is the hammock that I was in our resort on our honeymoon. So if I really can't get out of the environment that's stressing me out, hello, 2 kids at each other's throats because they haven't had any activities in 2 weeks. Since I cannot actually get away, I can take a moment, see if I can find some silence in my house, and visualize for a few minutes. So you can take a moment, think of some place that you actually love, that is beautiful, that makes you happy. Close your eyes, relax, and imagine being there. Think of all of your senses, not just what you're seeing, but what are you hearing? What are you smelling? What are you touching? Or if that's not something that works for you, you can visualize what the reward is on the other side of this stressful moment. If you're working on a big project and the emails are driving you crazy and you can't stand it, just imagine what it will be like when the project is done. What is that going to give you? How is that going to make you feel? And that will sort of put the whole thing in perspective and help you to get through the steps that will get you to your reward. Oh, here is another one of my favorites off this list, and it is to delegate or to say no. This is something that is incredibly important all of the time, and it might seem like it's a little harder right now. The reason I say this is because one of the things about delegating and saying no is setting boundaries. When you're saying no to things and when you are handing projects off to people, you're saying, that's not worth my time, or I'm not the best at this, or it's saying you're toxic and I don't want to spend time with you, but we're not really spending time together right now, so that's not necessarily the issue. Anyway, you might be getting thrown all kinds of jobs you don't normally do, and yeah, in this situation, we really do need to roll with the punches some, but if you start looking at all of the things that you have to do, and this list is incredibly unrealistic, start looking at it and seeing, where can I send this work to someone else? And where can I say, no, this just does not work for me. I cannot get this done. There are so many hours in a day and I cannot do 5 people's work. All right, time to move on to some things that take maybe a little bit longer. These are more 10 to 15 minute length things. The first one, which is a little hard right now, is to go for a walk. A real walk outside. Just stay 6 feet away from people you don't live with. Seriously, getting out in nature, I know a lot of places are completely locked down, but if you can even go stand on your deck, or you can sit in your backyard. I know people right now are literally walking laps in their backyard. Whatever you can do. Those moments in nature where you're getting your heart rate up a little bit and you're getting fresh air are incredibly cleansing. Now you know this one was going to be coming, but here it is. Meditate. Some of you might be surprised to find this in the 10 to 15 minute group, but meditation does not need to be some hour-long thing every day unless that's what suits you. 10 minutes is truly, truly enough to help you as long as you're consistent. I have ADHD, which is pretty much all of the reasons that I shouldn't be able to meditate, but I still find a way. Your meditation does not need to look like sitting on a pillow while burning incense and chanting with bells and all that kind of stuff. It really just needs to be 10 minutes of relaxing and focusing on your breath. At the bare minimum, that's all you got to do. If you cannot handle doing that, start smaller and build your way up. Literally, if you got to start at 2 minutes, then do that. Set a timer on your phone, do 2 minutes, and then maybe in a couple of days you can bump it up to 3. If that doesn't work for you and you don't feel like it's relaxing, try looking for, there are tons and tons of meditation programs out there that you can listen to, and then you can just focus on what they're telling you to do instead of trying to do it in some self-guided way. Just remember that meditation is not some sort of competitive sport. You can't meditate better than somebody else. If the person that you look up to most does some 20-minute transcendental meditation every day, and that does not work for you, don't feel bad about it. It does not matter what kind of meditation works for you. Just find something that works that you will stick with. All right, we're up to 30 minutes to an hour, and this is the longest that I'm going to be talking about because I want these to be realistic things that you can do throughout the middle of your day so that you are not pushing all of your stress relief to the end of the day. The first one is a power nap. I had to teach myself how to power nap. My naps used to be 2 hours minimum, and then I would wake up not knowing what century it was. Right before my husband and I got married, we were so busy and I was so stressed out at work that I used to come home and I would set a timer for 30 minutes from the second that I laid down and was ready to sleep until I was ready to pop up out of the bed. It's gotten to the point now that I really only need like 10 or 15 minutes. As long as I can fall asleep, it's like rebooting my brain. Really, there are chemical processes that are happening in your brain while you're asleep to help clear away all of the negative chemicals that make you feel groggy and hazy and uncreative and stressed out. And a lot of those happen while you're asleep. So if you can grab 30 minutes, then teach your body what it's like to take a power nap. It might be a little hard at first. I think it took me about a month to get used to it, but it was probably the best skill that I had ever taught myself, and I have lived off power naps ever since. Okay, this one's gonna be a little harder given what's going on right now, but that is to get off the grid. It couldn't possibly be more important for us right now to walk away from technology than it is currently. That sentence made no sense. We are relying on technology in a way that we have not before. That doesn't mean that you can't walk away from it. It can be really hard when you can't get any kind of interaction from other people to not be living on social media or trying to have conference calls or emailing or looking at news sites. But you need to walk away at some point for your mental health. Shut it all down. Put your phone in airplane mode. Turn off your computer, even for a little bit. An hour a day is enough. Try to find something else that you like to do that does not require technology. This is a great time to be searching around online for some sort of hobby or something that you used to do that you still have all of the supplies shoved in the back of your closet. It's time to dig those out and start working on it again. It will be a relief that you were probably not expecting to realize that nobody can call you right now. Now, I've talked about movement across your day, and you really can't live without movement breaks. Don't just try to sit there the entire day. You are going to be unbelievably sore when you finally walk away from your desk. But a full-blown workout provides benefits that just getting up and walking around are not going to provide. Getting your heart rate up 20 to 30 minutes will actually reduce your stress and improve your focus for a solid 2 to 3 hours after you're done. Okay, I lied. This is my absolute favorite technique, and that's having a coaching or a therapy session. All of my sessions happen over the phone, and now with everything that's going on, a lot of therapy sessions are happening either via Zoom or over the phone. It is amazing how stressed out we can feel with our lives and not actually be able to pinpoint why. It's not something a lot of us think about, but you'll get totally stressed out, your body will be all clenched up, and then somebody will say, what's wrong? And you can't even get the words out. You have no clarity around it. And being unclear about the things that are stressing you out actually causes you to be more stressed out. You can't do any problem solving if you're not clear about what the problem is. Coaching and therapy can help you work out what's going on and help you make progress to improve your overall life and your day. The last thing I'm going to talk about is journaling. Journaling does not have to be Dear Diary style where you just pour your heart out on the page and say everything that happened to you that day. There are so many forms of journaling, and if you Google journal prompts, you will come up with loads and loads of options. There are other methods for doing it where you do a quick roundup of, say, 3 things that you're really grateful for that day, and then maybe another 3 things that you kind of started today that you want to continue. Hey, I had a really healthy lunch and I would like to do that tomorrow. Just put it in there. It sort of solidifies the action in your mind, and it reminds you that you started that thing and now you want to keep it going. Question of the day: what is your favorite stress management technique? What's the thing that you use all of the time that gets you through the day? Let me know down in the comments. I would love to see everybody sharing about what works for them so everybody can get some more ideas. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please go down and hit the like button. And if you want to make sure you don't miss a video, hit the subscribe button too. Also, make sure that you go down to the show notes so that you can sign up for my 5 Days to Less Stress program to help you get through all of the stressful parts of your life. Also, there will be a link to the article that I wrote about stress management techniques, and also a way for you to go and sign up to get on my calendar so that we can have your free one-on-one call. Thanks everybody, and I'll see you in the next video.